Hey everyone, this is Rocky, and welcome back to the DevOps Nexus channel. Today we're diving into the absolute ultimate cheat sheet for passing the security and compliance domain of the AWS Cloud Practitioner exam. Seriously, this explainer is your direct, no-fluff path to mastering these services. Let's get into it.
Okay, so looking at our agenda, to avoid totally overloading you with like 13 different AWS security services at once, we're breaking things down into 4 logical buckets. We've got identity and account management, data protection and encryption, network security and firewalls, and threat detection and assessment. Oh, and we'll wrap it up with some high-yield exam associations.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, Identity and Account Management.
So imagine the sheer nightmare of managing 20 separate AWS accounts where every single one needs its own login. Well, IAM Identity Center completely simplifies this. It gives you one centralized login for the whole shebang, and it's not just for your AWS accounts, but even third-party business apps you might use, like Jira, GitHub, or Microsoft 365. You literally sign in once, and you're good to go.
Okay, here is your first big exam tip. Whenever you see IAM Identity Center on the test, you need to immediately, automatically think single sign-on, or SSO. Just lock that specific keyword association into your brain right now. It's going to earn you easy points on test day.
Now let's look at AWS Organizations and see how it builds on that. Organizations helps you manage multiple AWS accounts from one central spot. Sure, you get consolidated billing, which is nice, but for security, the real magic is Service Control Policies, or SCPs. It's a brilliant way to enforce security from the top down. An SCP is basically the absolute maximum permission boundary. Even if a user has full administrator access in an account, if your SCP denies an action, like deleting production servers, that SCP wins. It overrides the admin. It's a massive governance tool.
Let's hit another really quick vital exam tip. If a question asks how a company can let employees log into AWS using their existing on-premises Windows corporate credentials, your direct answer is AWS Directory Service. Basically, if you see Microsoft Active Directory integration, think Directory Service.
Moving right along to bucket number 2, data protection and encryption. All right, let's talk AWS KMS, which stands for Key Management Service. Basically, KMS creates and manages the encryption keys that convert your readable data into unreadable ciphertext. If you need to protect data at rest, whether that's in S3 buckets, EBS volumes, or RDS databases, KMS is absolutely your go-to. The exam tip here is super simple. KMS is strictly associated with managing encryption keys.
Now, let's break down a classic exam trap: confusing Secrets Manager with Parameter Store. They sound similar, but they're very different. Secrets Manager is specifically for highly sensitive data, and its real superpower is automatic secret rotation. It costs a little bit more, but it handles that rotation for you behind the scenes. Parameter Store, that's great for standard configuration values, but it lacks that native automatic rotation feature, so don't let them trick you on that.
So, the crucial takeaway here? Secrets Manager equals passwords and API keys. Hard-coding credentials directly into your application code is a massive critical security risk. Huge no-no. Secrets Manager solves this by securely storing and rotating those credentials automatically.
Next up is AWS Certificate Manager, or ACM. Now, while KMS handles data at rest, ACM is all about data in transit. It provisions, manages, and deploys SSL and TLS certificates. If you need a secure, encrypted HTTPS connection for your app's load balancer or CloudFront distribution so data can't be snooped on over the internet, ACM is exactly what you use.
And here is genuinely one of my absolute favorite services, Amazon Machi. Machi is brilliant. It uses machine learning to literally comb through your S3 buckets and find sensitive data. Stuff like accidentally uploaded credit card numbers, passport numbers, PII. If you see the phrase sensitive data discovery in S3 on the exam, boom, the answer is Machi.
All right, Section 3, network security and firewalls.
I want you to picture this terrifying real-world scenario. What if your banking website suddenly gets hit with 10 million fake requests out of absolutely nowhere? This is a classic distributed denial of service, or DDoS attack. The attacker's whole goal here is to completely overwhelm your server and just crash your application.
To stop that scenario in its tracks, we use AWS Shield.
Shield is your frontline defense against DDoS attacks. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates AWS's commitment to baseline security because the standard tier of Shield is totally free and automatically applied to all your accounts from day one. Now, if you need 24/7 access to the DDoS response team and some cost protection during an attack, you'd upgrade to the paid advanced tier. But for the exam, just remember, Shield equals DDoS protection.
Now, you've got to make sure you clearly separate Shield from AWS WAF, which is the Web Application Firewall. While Shield blocks those massive traffic floods, WAF acts way more like a bouncer at the front door of your web app. It protects Layer 7 web traffic. It looks at specific malicious HTTP requests, things like SQL injections, cross-site scripting, or bad bots, and blocks them before they ever even touch your code.
Now imagine you've got 100 different AWS accounts, and you need the exact same WAF or Shield rules applied to all of them. Doing that manually? Literal nightmare. So the exam tip here is AWS Firewall Manager. This is your centralized tool for managing security policies and firewall rules across your entire AWS organization.
Moving to our fourth bucket, threat detection and assessment.
First up here is Amazon GuardDuty. GuardDuty is an intelligent threat detection service. It's constantly analyzing your CloudTrail, VPC flow logs, and DNS logs in the background. So let's say a user normally logs in from India, right? But suddenly they start making API calls from a totally different country at 3 a.m. GuardDuty flags that suspicious behavior. The really crucial point for the exam, though, is that GuardDuty detects threats. It warns you, but it doesn't actually block them on its own.
Next, we have Amazon Inspector. Inspector is all about finding the weak spots in your own setups. It automatically assesses your EC2 instances, container images in ECR, and Lambda functions looking for software vulnerabilities, missing patches, or known insecure configurations. Lock this one in. Inspector is specifically for vulnerability assessment and finding outdated software.
Okay, so with GuardDuty, Inspector, and Macie all generating these different security alerts, where do you actually go to look at them? You go to AWS Security Hub. Security Hub is your centralized security dashboard. It acts as a single pane of glass, aggregating all the findings from these different tools into one prioritized place. It just makes your security operations vastly more efficient.
And finally, Section 5, High-Yield Exam Associations. All right, take a breath and get ready, because this is the climax of our explainer. We're going to do a rapid-fire review right now to completely lock in your exam readiness.
Let's rapid-fire through these triggers. Need SSO? That's IAM Identity Center. Manage a bunch of AWS accounts? AWS Organizations. Encrypt data? AWS KMS. Need to store API keys safely? Secrets Manager. What about HTTPS certificates? Certificate Manager. Stop DDoS attacks? AWS Shield. Protect against SQL injection? AWS WAF. Detect suspicious activity? GuardDuty. Find software vulnerabilities? Inspector. View all your alerts in one place? Security Hub. And finally, find sensitive data in S3, Amazon Macie. Seriously, review these, learn these, and you are going to absolutely crush this domain.
We've covered some incredible tools today, but I want to leave you with a provocative thought here at the end. AWS gives you all these amazingly powerful security services, but in the cloud, security is a partnership. Under the shared responsibility model, AWS takes care of the security of the cloud. But what are you actually responsible for in the cloud? Think deeply about that, because understanding where AWS's job ends and yours begins is the very next critical step in your learning journey. Thank you so much for diving into this explainer with me, and keep studying hard.